Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about Roth conversions and making your way into tax free. But first, let's talk about why that's really important. This right here, folks, is the usdebtclock.org. And if you really want to be depressed, all you got to do is go watch this. This has got to be one of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my life. If you look up here in the top left corner, we have a national debt of $35 trillion. Down in the right-hand corner, we have an unfunded deficit for Social Security, Medicare, prescription drugs of $219 trillion, $342 billion, $886 million, 887, 888. Just sit here and watch, and soon it'll become $343 billion. We have a budget of $4.9 trillion, but we spent $6.9 trillion just in the last year. Folks, how is the government going to take care of this problem? If this was your life and you were living your life like this, you would really only have three choices. You could cut your spending, you could increase your income, or you could file bankruptcy. And bankruptcy simply isn't an option for the government. So, what do you think the chances are that they're going to cut their spending? If you looked at the chart for the top marginal tax bracket since the inception of the temporary income tax and the establishment of the IRS in 1913, that average has been 56.67%, not 57.12%, and we're sitting at 37% right now today with all these national debt going on. What makes you think that whoever becomes the President of the United States, whoever takes control of Congress and Senate, is actually going to be able to put a dent in this? See, the real fact of the matter is the only person that can really do anything about this is you and I. We have to sit down and we have to start becoming proactive to make sure that we don't become part of this problem when they start raising those taxes to start taking care of that debt. So which way do you think taxes are going up? You think they're going to go up, down, or stay the same? What do you think your tax bracket's going to be in the future? Do you know that most people are surprised to find out that not only are they in the same tax bracket when they get out in retirement, many of them end up in a higher tax bracket, and then one person dies, and then suddenly they're in a higher tax bracket, and they have to start taking RMDs, and then they get in an even higher tax bracket. All the time while taxes are going up. But folks, right now, today, taxes are on sale. And that sale expires in just a little over a year. The chance to take that sale is going away quickly. And if you're going to do a Roth conversion, now is the time. Because Roth conversions have to be done by 12/31 of the year that you're going to do it in, and we're at the wire right now. And then you got one more year before those tax laws sunset. Now, we're going to talk about Roth conversions and why that's important and some other ways to get to tax-free. But first, let's talk about what is a Roth IRA. Well, a Roth IRA is very much like an IRA. But unlike an IRA, a Roth IRA is money that goes in after taxes, and then it grows tax-free now and forever. Here's how it works. You contribute your money into a Roth IRA from your regular income after you paid taxes on it. Now, one of the interesting things about a Roth is you can actually withdraw that money at any time without a penalty. Whereas with a IRA, you have to wait till 59 and a half to take it out. But if you withdraw that money, you can withdraw the principal, the amount of money you put in, but you cannot withdraw the growth until 59 and a half or 5 years, whichever is longer. If you do withdraw it, you can only put it back at the limitations of what you could put in before. However, there are income limits for contributing to a Roth IRA. And these limits are different each and every year, but right now those limits for the year 2024 is if you're under the age of 50 is $7,000, and if you're over the age of 50 it's $8,000. but there's also a limit on how much money you can make as to whether you can contribute to a Roth IRA. So you may be limited out. What is qualified money? Well, qualified money is qualified with who? It's qualified with the government. Now, an IRA would be tax deferred, and we could qualify into an IRA, 401ks, 403bs, 457, SEPs, defined benefit plans. These are all tax deferred accounts. The only exception to that in qualified money would be the Roth IRA, where it grows tax free. All of these other accounts, there's a penalty for removing the money prior to 59.5 of 10%. And with all of the other accounts, depending upon whether we're still working or not, you have to take what is called an RMD, or a required minimum distribution. And if you don't take that, there's a 25% penalty for not taking it out. Now, non-qualified money is money that you put in, say, a CD, a brokerage account, and at the end of the year, you get a 1099 and you're taxed on it as you go. So it's not a government qualified plan. Some exceptions on tax as you go would be some certain types of bonds. But certificates of disappointment, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, these are all taxed as you go. Now, the government wants you to just keep deferring taxes because I want more of your money. Now, folks, if I was going to loan you some money right now, let's say I was going to write you a check and I was going to loan you $100,000. You'd want to know two things. You'd want to know, when do I have to pay it back? And at what interest rate do I have to pay it back at? Well, if I told you that, I don't really need this money right now, I'll let you know when you have to pay me back. And, interest rates suck right now, so I'll tell you what the rate is when it comes time to pay it back. Would you borrow my money? Of course you wouldn't. Yet, isn't this exactly what you're doing when you put money inside of a qualified account tax deferred? See, you're not just deferring taxes, but you're deferring the calculation out to a point in time where you have no idea what that rate is. And they get to determine when you pay it back, and they get to determine that rate. Because all they have to do is raise taxes. Now, when we put money in an IRA, we put it in tax-free contribution. In other words, we put it in and we get a deduction for it today. There's a penalty for taking it out prior to 59.5, whether it's principal or growth. We pay a 10% penalty. We must take money out sometime between 72 and 75, or required minimum distributions. There's actually a 25% penalty for not removing it. This says 50, but that was the old rule. So there's a 25% penalty for taking it out, not taking it out, plus the taxes. It's taxed at distribution. Now, Roth IRA, it's taxed prior to putting it in. The principal is liquid from day one, so we can withdraw it at any time, but don't forget, we can only put back what our limitations are for that year. It's tax-free after 5 years, or 59.5, whichever is longer, on not only the principal, but the growth going forward. And there are no RMDs, or required minimum distribution, and it passes on tax-free. Now, it's important to understand that it passes on tax-free from ordinary income taxes, but if you have an estate tax problem, which is going to be another thing that will sunset in 2025, then at that point, it would be subject to estate taxes. So both of them are subject to estate taxes. But if you were receiving one of these two and you were getting a Roth as an example, let's say you had a 40% estate tax. Well, a Roth IRA, let's say you got $100,000, you'd end up with $60,000. But an IRA, you would end up having to pay taxes on it. Let's say you were 40% for ordinary income taxes. Well, you'd pay 40% ordinary income taxes, 40% for estate taxes, and you'd end up with $20,000 of your $100,000. So the worst possible money to pass to your children is qualified or IRAs, 401ks, etc. Now, some other benefits in the Roth are tax-free income, no RMDs. You can still contribute to a Roth over the age of 72 or past your RMD ages. Roth conversions cannot be reversed, however. It used to be that you could do what was called a recharacterization. So if you put money in a Roth IRA, you had all the way up until October 15th of the following year to recharacterize. As of the new Secure Act, that is no longer a possibility. Roth funds pass on tax-free to beneficiaries. Beneficiaries can stretch those income taxes free for 10 years. Now, prior to the new Secure Act, you could stretch IRAs and Roth IRAs out over the life expectancy of the inheritant or the beneficiary. Now that rule has changed, and any non-spousal beneficiary must distribute both their IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, and their Roth IRAs 100% within 10 years. There's no taxation on distribution at trust rates. It removes the uncertainty of what future tax rates might be, offsetting in the loss of the markets. Reasons to not have a Roth IRA. Well, you don't want to pay taxes today. Now, folks, I want to get something really straight with you. I know you think you actually have $1 million inside your 401k. But tell me something. Have you ever seen your after-tax statement? So watch very closely, because here it is. And what you got to get really clear about is as much as it hurts and is as painful as it is, this doesn't belong to you. This belongs to the government. So my question for you is, when do you want to pay the government? And the answer to that is when the taxes are the lowest. Not never, because that's not an option. Now, I don't have any tax deductions, so I don't want to put my money in a Roth IRA because I won't get the tax deductions. Now, if you believe that your tax bracket today and taxes today are lower or higher rather than they will be in the future, and you've actually done an analysis and you've sat down and you've seen that that's actually true, which most people that's not the case, then you might not want to put your money in a Roth IRA. Now, early withdrawals are subject to a 10% penalty. Well, that's only on growth. Whereas if I put my money in an IRA, growth and principal is subject to a 10% penalty. You don't have outside funds to pay the taxes. Now, what this means is when we're doing a Roth conversion, the best way to do a Roth conversion is to actually pay the taxes with after-tax money from checking, savings, CDs, etc. You need the funds today and have no desire to leave money or legacy free to your beneficiaries. Well, this, folks, is not necessarily true, because if you're designing an income, and in order to retire, you must have one thing, and that's a paycheck. So when you get your paychecks, do you want them to be taxable or tax-free? Frequently, it makes sense to convert that money over to a Roth IRA and then turn it on for income so it's tax-free for the rest of your life. And once again, you need the tax deduction today. These would be reasons to not put money inside of there. Or you believe you'll be in a lower tax bracket in the future than you are today. Now, let's not forget the national debt, where taxes have been in the past, and let's not also forget that if we're filing jointly right now, we'll likely be filing single in the future. So those tax brackets have been as high as 94%. And we have a national debt of $35 trillion, $219 trillion upside down. We spent $2 trillion more than we brought in. What do you think is going to happen to taxes? So there's two ways to get to a Roth IRA. There's what's called a contribution. So we can contribute into a Roth IRA if we don't make too much money. The second way to get there is called a conversion. So we can pick the money up out of our tax as we go account, or tax deferred account, move it over to our tax-free account, and pay the taxes on it, either out of our tax deferred account or out of our tax as we go account, depending upon what we can afford and what our ages are. So who should convert? Anyone who is younger and has a traditional IRA. Beneficiaries of an IRA is a trust. Wealthy people who don't need, want, or will likely not use RMDs and distributions in their lifetime. Now, folks, if you are one of those wealthy people and you're not going to use this Roth IRA, then we need to be talking about advanced planning strategies where we might be using some form of life and or death insurance to outperform what we could do otherwise. You believe you will be in the same or higher tax bracket in your distribution years. you have access to outside funds or non-qualified funds to pay the taxes. How will that tax work? Well, we have a sliding schedule on our taxes. Now, when you make a conversion in, say, 2023, then those taxes were due on April 15th of 2024. And the same would be true for 2024. If we made a conversion before 12/31 of 2024, those taxes will be due April 15th of 2024. Now be careful for estimated taxes, and these are all things that you should be sitting down and not only coming up with a plan, we should be working to come up with a plan, and then once that happens, we want to verify that plan with whoever our tax preparer is. It's important to know that taxes will likely go up and income may have an effect on Social Security, AMT, and other things such as Medicare. So the sooner you do this, the better. But if you're at Medicare, doing these conversions will also have an effect on your Medicare. But you got to decide, do I want to pay a little bit more for Medicare now and get all these taxes out of the way? Or do I want to wait until later on, pay more for Medicare then, and pay more for taxes then? Partial conversions. We're not required to convert our entire IRA. We can move portions of it over. Now, depending upon how we have that allocated, we would be able to convert it all at once, parts of it. We just have to make sure that we've allocated our assets correctly to make this happen. The pro-rata rule. Occasionally, and this has become a rare event, people have money that they've put inside of their IRA that's after tax contributions. So for example, let's say that your after-tax contributions are in your $100,000, let's say it's $50,000. Well, if it's $50,000 and you have $100,000 in there, if you were to do a conversion, you must convert the equal portions of the after-tax dollars to the pre-tax dollars. So if you were going to convert $50,000, it would have to be $50,000 of the after-tax and $50,000 of the pre-tax dollars. Convert now or later, 2024 versus 2025. Are your accounts currently depressed? A really good time to be converting is when the market drops down. Pick a day when it's down and convert. Do you believe you will make more in 24, 25, and 26? Do you believe that tax rates will be higher in the future? Let's not forget, the current tax laws will sunset on 12/31 of 2025. And we could pretty much guarantee that regardless of who becomes president, that would be the case. Now, if Trump was to win this, then at that point, we might go, and he might go and extend that, or maybe possibly even improve it. And if that was the case, that would be the greatest opportunity of your life to be doing exactly what we're talking about now. Because see, folks, most of you are not going to be able to go out and convert your money to the top of your tax bracket and get all of your money converted. In other words, how to eat an elephant? Answer, one bite at a time. Do you have room in your current tax bracket to max it out? So if you're in a 22 or a 24% tax bracket and you know you're going to a 25 or higher percent tax bracket later on, why wouldn't you pay the taxes today in 22 to 24? If you say yes to any of these things, now is probably a good time for you to be doing a conversion. These are our tax brackets in 2024, and you can see down the left side that we have single and married, and we have a stair step in our tax bracket. So the first $23,000 as a married person is at 10%, then it's 12, 22, 24. Now, whatever bracket you're at, that's your top marginal tax bracket. And that's where your write-offs come from. And when you take money out of your IRAs or 401ks, that's where those dollars are being taxed at, is your top marginal tax bracket. Now, your accountant will argue, well, you have an effective tax rate and your rate's lower than that. But the reality, folks, is your write-off comes from your top marginal tax bracket. And when you withdraw the money, it's taxed at your top marginal tax bracket, not your effective rate. My accountant says, well, who cares what your accountant says? Because you see, your accountant's a very reactive person. Your accountant reacts to the money that they give you, all that information you give them in January, February, March, April. When's the last time your accountant came to you in August, September, October, November, December, and said, hey, I've got an idea on how to save on taxes this year. We have a service in our company where we actually help businesses save on taxes. And that planning starts literally in January for the coming year. We're already done doing all that planning by November. And you as a personal individual need to be doing the same stuff. You need to start getting proactive and orchestrate your accountant and use your accountant to figure out exactly how much do you have to maximize your tax bracket. He'll love you for those billable hours. They're more reactive than they are proactive. Now, folks, if you were a farmer, would you want to pay tax on the seed or on the harvest? And how are you doing it? There are two parts of this game. You're over here and you're playing a game, and it's called accumulation. And you're trying to accumulate enough money so that when you arrive in my world, which is preservation and distribution, you don't run out of money. And over here, the market's going up and down and up and down. And, it's no big deal. You just wait. It's going to always come back. But over here, in this distribution stage, it's about preserving this money. It's about making sure that you don't lose it. And if the market goes down over here, you have a problem. But if simultaneously you get hit with a whole bunch of taxes, you have an even bigger problem because it starts to eat away with that money quicker. You see, it was always about income. Now, because you're a financial planner, banker, lawyer, accountant, doesn't mean that you know what you think you know. Frequently, people are talking to people in a box. And then these people are in the same box with them trying to get out. And they're all going, well, I don't want to pay all these taxes. You got to stop thinking like an accountant. You got to start becoming proactive. You got to start moving in that direction of getting it tax-free. Or the future belongs to the government. It doesn't belong to you. And you've done an incredible job of planning your retirement, yet it probably did a better job of planning the government's retirement. How do I trust the government will not start taxing Roth IRAs? Well, the reality of that matter is that all tax laws, all legitimate tax laws, are always grandfathered. So if there was an ability to do something, say as a Roth IRA, they can't take that ability away. Now, they could eliminate that. They could say there are no more Roth IRAs. If you do away with tax-free, people stop contributing and going back to tax-deferred. Well, see, that's not necessarily true because there are other ways to get to tax-free. Today, we're really only focusing on Roth conversions. If someone in the government changes the rule, existing accounts will always be grandfathered. The sooner you act, the greater your chance of grandfathering. Being proactive is the key here. It's entirely up to you. Now remember, there really only are three ways to grow your money. Tax as you go, tax deferred, and tax free. The worst way to grow your money is tax as you go. The best way to grow your money depends. It's either tax deferred or tax free, and it depends on your exit strategy. If you can put the money in here at a 25% savings and you can take it out at anything below 25%, you won the game. But if you take it out at 25%, you didn't gain anything. If you take it out at higher than 25%, you lost the game. Now, once you've maximized that tax-free and you've gone over there and you've contributed as much as you could from your taxable account to tax-free and you've converted as much as you could to the top of your tax bracket over to tax-free in a Roth IRA, now you got to start looking for other angles and other directions and other ways to go and get to tax-free. And one of those best tools that there ever was a properly maximum funded life insurance policy under TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA. Now, folks, how do we help you? Well, we help you play the second half of the game, the preservation, the distribution game. We're all about safety and predictability. We help people like you create and grow your wealth, protect and distribute that wealth in the most tax-advantaged way while you're alive and when you're dead. Now, keep your eyes open because it isn't going to be long, and look in the bottom of this chat. I'm going to release an educational program just on how to do Roth conversions. Reach out to us if you want to know more about that. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please put some comments below. What do you think? Do you think taxes are going up, down, staying the same? What, do you think that you should be going to a Roth, getting to tax-free, or are you going to take your chances with the government? Remember to live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan that you're going to live forever, because you just might. Keep smiling and make it a great day.